A very good afternoon. Watching NDTV's World Report. I'm Divya. Wadhwa. Let's start with news coming in from Pakistan. A massacre has taken place in the northwestern part of Pakistan where 30 civilians have been killed in Pakistani airstrikes. As per reports, Pakistani airstrikes dropped 8 bombs at this valley, the Tira Valley, where there have been casualties. We're talking about 30 civilians that have died. Let's get you news coming in from India. Is the Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, who is in the United States leading an official delegation as far as the US is concerned for trade talks. The delegation will be holding talks with the US team to take forward discussions with a view to achieve early conclusion of a mutually beneficial trade agreement. This is during the last visit of the team of the officials from the Office of the United States Trade Representatives of India on the 16th of September. So just last week, when we did have a meeting here in New Delhi from Washington, D.C. of the Chief Negotiating Officer. Now, these are positive discussions that were held on various aspects of the trade deal, and it was decided to intensify efforts in order to bring about those, that agreement that remains in limbo.
US trade delegation visited India just earlier this month, and that went overall quite okay compared to previous times. In terms of the continuing sticking issues, it really remains the same story, which is India being hesitant on the dairy and agriculture sector to open up further. Whether that's change, we'll get to see after these trade talks. And also when it comes to India, and they are very clear that they need to reduce those tariffs. 50%. India is facing some of the highest tariffs put on any country in the world from the United States currently. So India's focus is going to be to reduce that again to 25%. And the larger aim remains a bilateral trade agreement that both sides are still hoping to wrap up by fall, which is October.
And it is S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister of India, who will be holding bilateral talks with the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in New York tonight. The meeting comes amid efforts to ease tensions over tariffs and visa issues. The meeting on the sidelines of the 80th UNGA comes days after President Donald Trump imposed that additional 25% as far as tariffs on Indian goods in response to Delhi's imports of Russian oil, raising total levies as far as India is concerned to 50%. Now, police in Manila have arrested scores of people suspected of attacking officers in violent clashes near the presidential palace. This is really what took place outside the palace in Philippines' capital. Around, 100 people were involved in this, and there were 70 officers who were injured. The police had to use tear gas in order to disperse the rioters, who they say have also vandalized property. At the other end of the world, it's Peruvians that took to the streets for a second consecutive day on Sunday in order to protest against the government of the president and the Congress. The clashes that erupted in Lima late in the evening with the police firing tear gas and demonstrators throwing objects at the forces. The forces tried to disperse the demonstrators, but most of the university students who responded, they started throwing stones at the officers. Now, it's France that's preparing to formally recognize a Palestinian state. The Palestinian and Israeli flags that have been separated by a peace dove were projected onto the Eiffel Tower. It's Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu who has issued a warning, whether it's the Britain or Canada and Australia, after the 3 countries recognized the Palestinian state and accused them of rewarding terror in the wake of the attack that took place in this is the Hamas attack that took place in October. Now, in a statement, the Prime Minister has gone on to say there will be no Palestinian state. The response to the latest attempt to force upon us is a terror state in the heart of our land will be given after my return from the United States. Now, this is something that is being said is the response to the latest attempt to force upon that terror state in the heart of our land that will be given after the return from the United States, is what has been said.
48 sur le génocide. Ça passe par un boycott de tous les acteurs impliqués ou complices.
Chaque année, depuis des décennies même d'ailleurs.
I set out in July the terms upon which we would act in line with our manifesto to recognise Palestinian statehood. That moment has now arrived. So today, to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this great country, that the United Kingdom formally recognises the State of Palestine. We recognised the State of Israel more than 75 years ago as a homeland for the Jewish people. Today, we join over 150 countries who recognise a Palestinian state also.
יש לי מסר ברור לאותם מנהיגים שמכירים במדינה פלסטינית לאחר הטבח הנורא ב7 באוקטובר. אתם מעניקים פרס עצום לטרור. ויש לי מסר נוסף עבורכם. זה לא יהיה. לא תקום מדינה פלסטינית ממערב לירדן. במשך שנים אני מנעתי את הקמתה של מדינת טרור זו מול לחצים אדירים, גם מבית וגם מן החוץ. עשינו זאת בנחישות ועשינו זאת בתבונה מדינית. לא כל שכן. הכפלנו את ההתיישבות היהודית ביהודה ושומרון ונמשיך בדרך זו.
It has great significance. I know we tend to sort of conflate the word symbolic with sort of not as important, maybe, that we tend to sort of trivialize the declaration as being only symbolic. But I don't think it's an empty gesture. I don't think that it is simply something that will not necessarily lead to a tangible sign of progress in defense of Palestinian statehood. So it is meaningful. There is no ceasefire deal on the horizon. There is no real pathway to the release of the Israeli hostages. So is this the right moment, I think, is a valid question to be asking on the point of recognition. The second is, what will this change on the ground in the every day-to-day suffering of Palestinians in Gaza? I think not very much, unfortunately. This glimmer of hope is important, and I think that will matter for those on the ground, but there will be questions as to, well, if this act of declaration of recognition is being supported now by the UK, by France, what next? How will our circumstances improve? And I don't think that there is an answer to that. The only answer will come with meaningful progress on the wider context of a two-state solution.
Now, Ukraine is increasingly using robotic ground machines to offset one of its most pressing wartime challenges. This is a shortage of manpower. They ferry supplies, clear mines, and evacuate the wounded or dead from areas too dangerous for soldiers. Robotic vehicles are not new in warfare. The German army used a wire-guided miniature tank in the Second World War II. In recent decades, the US, as well as the UK, Israel and China, along with others, developed modern versions for combat engineering and other battlefield roles as well.
Зараз ми завантажуємо наше НРК майном для нашої позиції в FPV. Там БК, майно, бензин. І зараз будемо робити їм підвіз.
Now, in a surprising reunion of sorts, is Donald Trump and Elon Musk seen sitting next to each other, in fact, even shaking hands. So friends turned foe have turned friends again. Why? Because they were at that memorial service for Charlie Kirk. This meeting happened at that massive memorial service in Arizona, honoring the slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Trump and Musk sat side by side in the stands. And this is once a top donor and advisor to Trump, who had famously broken ties with the president over a tax bill and had in fact gone ahead and launched his own political party. But now, with Musk posting a photo caption for Charlie, signs of reconciliation. And also, those signs are pretty clear. The video of the moment has been posted by the officials of the White House, which have gone on to say that Musk owns as part of his platform, that is the social media site X. The two men smiled, they chatted, they have also sparked speculation of a political reunion ahead of midterms coming up in 2026.
He did what was right for our nation. And so on that terrible day, September 10th, 2025, our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal. He's a martyr now for American freedom. I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
And the wife of Charlie Kirk, the widow Erica Kirk, stunned the crowd by forgiving her husband's accused killer and promising to carry on his work.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love.
And the handshake between Trump and Musk adds a new twist to a political alliance that once seemed completely broken. Let's just also get you authorities in the Dominican Republic that have gone on to say that they had confiscated some of the cocaine transported by a speedboat that was destroyed recently by the US Navy after the Trump administration carried out a controversial anti-narcotics mission in the Southern Caribbean. Now, a spokesperson for the country's national, this is the Directorate for Drug Control, said that 377 packages of cocaine had been recovered from the boat, which was allegedly carrying 1,000 kilograms of the drug. He added that the boat was destroyed about 80 nautical miles south, or this is a small island that belongs to the Dominican Republic. This is that small island, Isla Piata. The Taliban government on Sunday rejected US President Donald Trump's bid to retake the airbase 4 years after America's chaotic, this is the chaos that unfolded after this was the withdrawal from Afghanistan that left the sprawling military facility in the Taliban hands. It is unclear what conversation did the US have with Afghan officials about returning to the country. But Trump has hinted that the Taliban, who have basically struggled with an economic crisis and international legitimacy, has in fact had internal rifts as well and rival militant groups since their return to power that took place in 2021, 4 years back, could be open to allowing the US military back. The chief Taliban spokesperson has rejected Trump's assertion and urged that the US basically to adopt a policy of realism and rationality.
د افغانستان اسلامي امارت د شرعي اصولو په رڼا کې د خپل متوازن او اقتصاد محوره بهرني سیاست له مخې له ټولو هیوادونو سره د دوه اړخیزو او مشترکو ګټو په اساس مثبتې اړیکې غواړي. امریکا ته په ټولو دوه اړخیزو مذاکراتو کې روښانه شوې ده چې د اسلامي امارت لپاره د افغانستان خپلواکي او ځمکنۍ بشپړتیا له هر څه زیات اهمیت لري. د یادولو ده چې د دوحې په هوکړلیک کې امریکا ژمنه کړې چې د افغانستان ځمکنۍ بشپړتیا او سیاسي خپلواکۍ پر ضد له ځواک او ګواښ څخه کار نه اخلي او نه به یې په کورنیو چارو کې لاسوهنه کوي. نو پکار ده چې دوی خپلو ژمنو ته پابنده واوسیږي. په دې اساس یو ځل بیا یادونه کیږي چې د تیرو ناکامو تجربو د تکرار پر ځای باید عقلاني او واقع بینانه تګلاره خپله شي.
Now, the Philippines and Taiwan on Monday braced themselves for the impact of a typhoon, the most powerful storm to hit the region this year. Authorities in the Philippines shut down schools as well as government offices across a wide range of the main northern region, including the densely populated capital. Thousands of people were also evacuated from landslides and flood-prone villages as well. The typhoon, called Nando in the Philippines, was last tracked about 180 kilometers east of the area with sustained winds of about 215 kilometers per hour. A drone show featuring a total of over 2,000 drones was staged on Sunday evening during the air show. This has taken place in the northeastern part of China's Jilin province. We're talking about Changchun, and the drones formed formations and hovered, basically presenting a series of vivid images and bringing an immersive visual feast of technology and culture to the audience. And with that, we're slipping into a very short break. Back with a whole lot more on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Now, explosions lit up the night sky over Gaza late on Sunday through Monday as Israel continued its... This is the military operation, the latest Israeli military operation, which began after... This was a week after further escalating that conflict that has been roiled the Middle East and likely pushes any kind of ceasefire further out of reach. The Israeli military, which has told Palestinians to leave, hasn't given a timeline for the offensive, but there have been indications that it could take months. Israel has gone on to say that the operation is meant to put pressure, as far as Hamas is concerned, into freeing hostages and into surrendering. Is President Donald Trump, who said prominent billionaires, including media mogul Rupert Murdoch and tech businessman Michael Dell, could be part of a deal in which the United States will take control of the social video platform TikTok. Trump name dropped the 94-year-old Murdoch and his son as well, the head of Fox News and News Corp, as part of the group of possible participants in a deal.
Seems like you guys are getting really, really close to a deal for Americans to take over TikTok. They'll get to keep the algorithm because it's so addictive. That's what makes it so valuable. How much money are we talking? How much are these Americans
A tremendous amount of money.
Billions?
Oh, I'd rather have them, you know, they're very well-known people, and Larry Ellison's one of them. He's involved. He's a great guy. Michael Dell is involved. I hate to tell you this, but a man named Lachlan is involved. You know who Lachlan is? That's a very unusual name, Lachlan Murdoch.
Mr. Murdoch.
I believe, and you call him, and Rupert is probably going to be in the group. I think they're going to be in the group. A couple of others, really great people, very prominent people. And they're also American patriots, you know, they love this country. So I think they're going to do a really good job. I'm a little prejudiced with TikTok because, you know, I did so well with the young voter. And by the way, Charlie helped me a lot. Charlie also said, you should get on TikTok. So I think I did that.